Hi everyone, welcome to my channel once again, Bookshelf of Fairies and Foxes. Today I am going to be reviewing All the Crooked Saints by Maggie Stiefvater, who is an amazing author. You probably know her better for her series The Raven Cycle. She is also the author of the Wolves of Mercy Falls trilogy / quartet, and she has also written the Scorpio races and then a couple books about fairies. Her newest book, All the Crooked Saints, just came out. I believe it was around October 24th. I did not pre-order it, partly because I had ordered a book box, and I thought that this might be the book in it, and I didn't want to have two copies just in case. And then I got the book box, and it wasn't that one, which was fine. The book that I got in it looked super interesting. So I ended up getting this shortly before Halloween. And I finished it yesterday on All Saints Day, which was November 1st. And I just have so many things to say about this book. It was amazing. So now I am going to launch into the book review. So All the Crooked Saints is set in 1962 Colorado in this settlement called Bico-Raro, which according to Google Translate means weirdo. I am not entirely sure how accurate that is, but either way it kind of makes sense and fits the situation that this book takes place in. And the settlement was founded by the Soria family, who were immigrants from Mexico after they were run out of Mexico, I believe, and they are a family of saints. It's very interesting because the book itself does not dwell that much on religion itself, or not religion as we think of it. Not really. It mostly just talks about the personalities of the characters and the miracles that they take part in and that they do. And this book really centers on miracles. And like I said, they are a family of saints. Not all of them are the saint of the family. In this case, it is Daniel. The saint is Daniel, and he and his cousin Beatrice and his uncle Michael are the saints. Beatrice and Michael are the backups, and neither of them really want the job for various reasons. I would say that the main three characters are Daniel, Beatrice, and their other cousin Joaquin. I'm not entirely sure I'm pronouncing that right, but I think I am. And so Daniel's the ex-hooligan who is now the saint of Bico-Raro, and Beatrice is known as the girl with no feelings, and Joaquin is establishing himself as this radio DJ known as Diablo on a pirate radio show that he has in the back of their family's box truck in the middle of the desert, where they sneak out to some nights to go do that. Beatrice maintains the technical side, and Joaquin does his thing, and Daniel just kind of accompanies them and helps out where he can. There are a few other characters who have very important roles in this book. Two of them are Antonia and I believe his name is Francisco. So it's Antonia and Francisco, who are Beatrice's parents and Daniel's surrogate parents, as his parents died in an accident when he's technically not born yet. And so Antonia is a very angry woman, but She also has a delicate side to her. She creates these like amazing paper flowers that seem almost real. And Francisco basically spends all his time in his greenhouse where he aspires to create the first black rose ever. He has an obsession with it. And he and Antonia are estranged. And finally, there are the pilgrims of Bicoraro. These pilgrims, they're very interesting. So the Sarias are not actually allowed to speak to the pilgrims, but the pilgrims live there temporarily until their miracle has been completed, which can take a bit of time, but I'll get into that in a minute. There are some main pilgrims. First, there is Marcita, who is a runaway bride, and she is always covered by by rain. It falls around her all the time, and there are always butterflies around her as well. And then there is Tony, aka Eastern radio DJ, Eastern as in back east of in the US, East Coast, radio DJ Tony Triumph, who became a giant. And there's Jenny, who only speaks in echoes of what other people have said to her. And then there are I'm not sure if they're twins, they're sisters, Robbie and I'm forgetting the other one's name. I can't remember her name. I remember Robbie because for most of the book I thought Robbie was actually a guy and that it was a brother and sister. Apparently I was wrong. But I thought that for like 300 pages. Almost 300 pages. I got to that part. I was like, I don't remember this. But okay. And I couldn't remember the exact page where they're introduced, so I haven't checked that yet. So they're the main pilgrims. And finally there's Pete Wyatt, who he just came to Bicoraro because he heard that they have a box truck and he's going to work there to earn it because he wants to start his own moving company. His life revolves around work. He enjoys work. He enjoys helping people. So that's what he's doing. So yeah, so he's helping out around the Soria's settlement, town, village thing. So that's the situation that there is. The second bit of information that is important to the plot is that when the Sorias perform miracles, they take place in two parts. So first, they go to the saint of Bicoraro, in this case Daniel, and they have to admit that they have darkness in them. Then, once they have done that, that darkness manifests itself in a very interesting way. For Marcita, it's the rain and the butterflies all over her. And for Tony, it's that he became a giant. What this darkness manifests as is something that they need to face about themselves in order to heal. And then there's the second miracle, which is them admitting that and being able to return to their normal lives. And they don't leave Bicoraro until they have done that. And so there are a lot more pilgrims coming into Bicoraro than there are leaving, because many of them take a long time to figure it out. One day, Daniel disappears. He runs off into the desert because... Oh, so I forgot that other bit of information that's important about the second miracle thing. So the Sorias are not allowed to help the pilgrims because then that darkness will manifest in them and it will be much darker and often fatal compared to what goes on with the pilgrims. For the pilgrims, it's annoying, irritating, but it's not dangerous to them. For the Sorias, it is. It will literally usually end up in their deaths. So, and it spreads very quickly among them because of their sensitivity to the miracles. So he runs away when he helps this one pilgrim, and so then Beatrice and Joaquin and their family are trying to figure out how to get him, or how to heal him and get him back. So this book is super strange. I loved it, but it's super strange. It's such an interesting concept. I'm pretty religious, I'm Catholic, and I would have never thought of this premise. Maggie Stiefvater she has to be a genius. It's amazing the things that she thinks of. You'd have to be like super contemplative to even come up with this sort of story, and I imagine you'd have to have a certain sort of religiosity in you in order to even be able to articulate it, because it's just exquisite writing what she does here. The main themes really are the consequences of miracles and the events surrounding them, which is not something most people would normally think of. I've never thought of it. One of the things that I love that Maggie Stiefvater does, she did it so well in the Raven Cycle, and it's just the one I really remember in the Raven Cycle, it was in the last book, The Raven King, where it really came into play, and she did it again in this book so well. It's this use of repetition that she does, where she will use some sort of phrase for each of the characters, and she uses it to connect them, but it's a little different every time. So in this one, it's, here's a thing he, she wanted. Here's a thing he, she fears. And it's just beautiful. So I'll give you an example. So there's an example actually on the back cover, and it says, here's a thing everyone wants, a miracle. Here's a thing everyone fears, what it takes to get one. And that's like something I've never thought of before, but it has to be so true. Everyone wants to have what they want, usually in some kind of miraculous way, but they don't want to do the work, or they're afraid of what they would have to do to get it and how badly they want it. And it's just something I've never thought of before. And like, I love how Maggie Stiefvater is, the way she crafts her words really make you think about them. It's just super, it's amazing. That's never really happened to me with any other author. And the second thing that I really love about the way Maggie Stiefvater writes is the settings, or the way she describes the settings. She did this really well in the Raven Cycle when she was describing the town of Henrietta in Virginia. I'm from Virginia, so I loved that so much. She described the feel of that town so well, and it's a small town, and I'm from a very small town, so it just really hit me in a very real way. But she added this element of magic to it. But she does it again in this book in describing this small area. It's just so, she makes it so real and almost tangible, but it also has this very interesting dreamlike quality to it. Like, it's not quite there. Like, when you're in, so let's say you're having a dream. I have these dreams all the time where I'll be running, but I can't run fast enough. Or I'm throwing something, but it'll only go a few feet away. It's kind of like that, where it's happening and it's real, but it's also not quite there. And all of her settings are so interesting, the way she's able to describe them. It's it's so realistic. Like, I can't get over it. And I could imagine while I was reading this, Pico Roro so well, and the desert around it so well. No other author has gone into such detail about a setting and made me interested in it. Normally, descriptions kind of bore me. I like focus on the characters. I like their dialogue. I like their interactions with each other. Without those, I'm usually not interested. I love character-driven books, and with the Raven Cycle, there was that, and with this, there is that as well too, but it's also very focused on the setting and what's around them. Yeah, so there's these owls, there's these roses, all on the cover. There's the desert, there's the miracles, there's focus on rain and electricity and work and growing things, and focus on the past, and all of these things are just the element or the amount that they're focused on compared to the interaction between the characters is just not something I'm usually interested in. But Maggie Stiefvater makes me interested in it. Another upside to this book, if you guys read things because of this, there are the Sorias and Maracita, and possibly some of the other characters are Mexican, Latino. The Sorias are Mexican. I'm not sure about Maracita. I believe she is, but I'm just going to say Latina for now. So it is a diverse book because you don't normally find that many books, especially YA novels, with Hispanic characters as main characters. So that's really interesting. And so that's another reason you may want to check it out. I did end up giving it 5 stars. I cycled for a while between 4 and 5 stars. The more I think about this book, the more I like it. And I don't know if it's going to be one of those books where I reread it all the time, but there are definitely going to be sections that I will reference at least every once in a while. And it's just super amazing what she's created here. And oh, also look at this cover art. It's amazing. So there's the desert sun, there's the owls that are featured in here. Owls are attracted to miracles, which is really interesting. It's one of those interesting things she does with creatures. She always has to have some kind of animal in her book to feature. In the Raven Cycle, it was ravens, obviously. In the Wolves from Mercy Falls, it was wolves. And here, it is owls, which is really interesting. I do like that because, the whole owls can see so much. They're very spooky creatures in a way. Mysterious. I love the cover, and it's just a fantastic book. If you have not read it, you need to read this. First of all, you need to read pretty much everything by Maggie Stiefvater. It's such an interesting work. You're never going to read a book that is exactly like All the Crooked Saints. It's just such, weird isn't quite a good word for it, but neither is quirky. Or eccentric. It's just a strange book. And it's so cool. You're not going to find anything quite like it. It's very unique. That's a good word. Unique. It is a very unique book, and it has a very interesting premise and amazing characters, and the writing is just phenomenal. So if you have not, please go check out All the Crooked Saints by Maggie Stiefvater. You will not regret it. And so that is it for tonight. And so thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.